Hello, everyone. This is Jessica with Black Travelers Network, and this story is coming to us. Before I get into the story, I first want to say thank you so much to Laverne Fields. Laverne is a part of our Google Plus community, and Laverne always from time to time will send us a number of different news articles about things that are happening all around the world that she feels is something that we will not only be interested in knowing about, but also interested in reporting on and sharing with others. And so I want to say thank you so much to Laverne. So the article that Laverne sent us was an article that basically talked about the state of emergency that's happening in Jamaica. And for me, I'm one of those people that I kind of hesitate in reporting the state of emergency in particular in certain countries. And, you know, obviously with Black Travelers Network, a lot of our travel experience and encouragement on, you know, where we suggest people travel are largely in areas that focus on the Black experience, whether it's in the Caribbean or in Brazil or in parts of Africa. Those are the areas that we largely encourage travelers to visit, because you see how we as a people from African descent have a lot in common. No matter where we are in the world, we tend to have a lot in common, and some major differences. And you know, it's important for us to really experience those moments where we can find common ground as a race of Black people in this world, and also where we can observe the differences that have happened in our lives and in our culture as a result of being spread throughout different parts of the diaspora. And so with that being said, I have to say that a lot of the international press that's reporting on the state of emergency is talking about how there's an increased amount of violence. A lot of the British press are encouraging those from the UK who may be traveling and visiting Jamaica to stay on the resort, to not go off the resort, to be very, very cautious, very, very careful. They're almost instilling a sense of fear that may or may not be warranted. But I can say, from having traveled to a number of different places around the world, what gets reported internationally does not always match up with what's actually happening on the ground. It's very easy from a distance to identify a number of incidents that have happened in a country, or in this case on an island, and say this is an extremely dangerous place to visit. You might not want to visit that place. You know, I feel like that's very unfair. I feel like obviously you have to warn people, you have to let people know, but it is really unfair when you sort of use certain isolated incidents or an area where there may be, you know, violence or, just unrest of any kind, to sort of peg the whole area. You know, I'm not really comfortable doing that. But I will say that I feel it's important to know that no matter where you go, no matter where you travel to, as an American citizen, you always have to be on high alert. And I think that's whether you're in the United States, whether you're in the Caribbean or South America, like when you don't know a place in an area, it is your responsibility to take a variety of safety measures and be very cautious and very alert. And so I say all of that to kind of lay the foundation for this article, where the tourism minister, Edmund Bartlett, who is the tourism minister for Jamaica, actually addresses all of this. And I also feel that, again, we want to listen to, what's being said by our media, but we definitely want to find out what is being said on the ground in these particular locations. And so oftentimes I find it much more comforting to go to a source that is a source of media, a source of news that's located in that particular country, to get a bird's eye view of what the actual situation on the ground really like. I also feel like it's important to talk to people who live in the area and who are on the ground to find out what's really going on, and if there's, an extreme amount of violence that's observable that would warrant people to be fearful or deter people from traveling. And so this article comes to us by way of the Jamaica Observer. It's one of the papers, the local papers, local media publications in Jamaica. And the title of the article is Bartlett Responds to Global Media Reports on State of Emergency. Okay? And so the article says, several international news publications in the United States, Canada, and especially the United Kingdom have reported that the parish and its capital city, Montego Bay, are on lockdown, leading to confusion in some quarters. In an article published in award-winning The Independent newspaper titled Jamaica Safe Despite Upsurge in Violence and State of Emergency, Tourism Minister Insist Bartlett is quoted as saying, quote, "The enhanced security measures are not out of the ordinary in international tourism markets, and therefore would be understood by visitors and welcomed by residents. All members of the tourism fraternity have given their full support to the measure and are feeling that these actions are welcome to ensure the safety of Jamaica's guests and citizens. There is no need to modify movements as restrictions in the stated areas should not adversely impact law-abiding persons," end quote. Bartlett noted previously that a record 4.3 million tourists visited Jamaica in 2017. This represents a 12.1% increase over arrivals in 2016 and marks the first time that Jamaica has brought 500,000 additional visitors and nearly $500,000 more in a single calendar year, with total revenues of near $3 billion US. The Independent also carried tweets from British tourists in Jamaica noting that they were comfortable and are going about their business normally. Laura Adams, a British tourist, tweeted, quote, "I'm in Montego at the moment and you wouldn't know there was anything going on if it wasn't for the news," end quote. Another tourist tweeted, "In Jamaica, traveling around, in Kingston right now and moving towards Montego Bay soon. Have a great time, just street aware like everywhere else," end quote. And that is the end of the article. So I say all of that to say, like, look, when we start talking, when the media starts talking about a country, an island, or a city as being extremely dangerous, that has a negative impact on the tourism that's going to that place. And I want to go back to the point that the article made. 4.3 million tourists visited Jamaica in 2017. That is a lot of people. And I tend to pay attention as much as I can to the tourism numbers. I can tell you one of the most popular destinations in the world right now is Cape Town. And obviously, we recently introduced an article that talked about the Cape Town water crisis. But even with Cape Town, last year's numbers for Cape Town reported 2 million visitors. And so here we are looking at Jamaica, which has double the numbers, which means that there's a lot of tourism dollars that's actually pouring into Montego Bay, Kingston, and some or just Rios, some of the other areas on the island of Jamaica, you know. And so, like, when we start talking about how an area is dangerous, just know there's a financial impact to the people in that particular location. And a lot of this violence that's being reported is a result of violence that's highly concentrated in terms of gangs. It's really about gang violence. Not only is it being reported as gang violence, but apparently there's some type of lottery scam going on. And so they're saying that a lot of the violence is a direct result of that kind of activity. And so, you know, when you start talking about, you know, gang violence and scamming, like that those are all deterrents, right, to people wanting to visit a particular area. But I've read other articles where, you know, there are Jamaicans who are talking about, well, not all of us are a part of gangs. Not all of us experience that. And we know from living in America that, you know, it's very possible for something to happen in one city and then all of America gets pegged as being like unsafe or really dangerous. And we know that that's just not true. And so I say with the travel advisories, you know, I think the travel advisory that you should always be mindful of is always be aware, no matter where you are, always take safety precautions, you know, just be thoughtful as a traveler, because I really hesitate in labeling any country or destination as being completely unsafe based off of a number of reports. I'm not saying that we should ignore the reports, obviously, but I am saying that we also have to be thoughtful of possible ulterior motives, for one, and also just know that no matter what, there's always a direct connection to the economy. And when you have 4.3 million tourists going to a destination, that means that destination is hot, that destination is popping, and they're bringing a lot of money into the location. And so whatever the violence is that exists in Jamaica, just like violence that exists here in America, a lot of that tends to be violence around a lack of dollars flowing throughout the community, throughout the population. And, you know, when people have a lack of resources, or they feel like the money's not really trickling down to the people who really need the resources, then you do get acts of violence. I mean, that's just a fact. And so I just want to encourage you not to label the whole island of Jamaica based off of this state of emergency. I definitely want to encourage people to still place Jamaica on your list of places to travel, and, you know, just be careful and cautious when visiting any place in the world that you're not from, that you don't know, that you don't have connections to. And so, again, thank you to Laverne for sending this article. I encourage all of you to look deeper into it, but I want to offer a balanced view of not just this state of emergency, but how you have to look at any state of emergency based off of the destination. So again, stay tuned for more stories that come out. Jamaica is a popular destination for our travelers. I mean, most Black travelers at some point have gone to Jamaica or will visit Jamaica. You know, I just got a call from someone saying that they're set to go to Jamaica in another couple of weeks, and I'm sure she's going to have a fantastic time. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for tuning in, and drop your comments below. I mean, if you visited Jamaica and felt unsafe, or you know, if Jamaica is a place that you want to visit, you know, drop your comments below. Would you still consider going to Jamaica despite the fact that, you know, they're saying there's a state of emergency due to violence? Or, you know, is the state of emergency enough to deter you from visiting? I'd like to hear your comments. And yeah, just stay tuned. Black Travelers Network.